What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to episode 2 of the GY6 Honda Ruckus build series. If you haven't watched episode 1, make sure you go back because you're really not going to know what's going on. All the parts in this build are going to be linked down in the description, so if you need anything, you let me know. Again, I'll supply a whole kit. You can build it yourself. But some people aren't builders. They just want a sweet bike and they don't want to mess with all that. If you want the sweetest bike you've ever freaking seen built, there's a guy for that.
What's up? I'm Ying from Works, and I specialize in designing custom ruckuses.
We're out here in Miami, Florida. He's got a little surprise for me. What are we even doing?
Well, this weekend we're gonna hit up a show at Riva Motorsports, and then we're gonna go 4 hours after the show to Orlando, Florida, happiest place in the world, and ride with the Florida Ruckus riders, get in some scooter culture.
So I can't wait to see like how the scooter culture is in Orlando. I've never been to Orlando. We did the Key West Con-Tride last year. That was cool. The culture here, let's just face it, it's not like Denver. So I'm super excited for that. I haven't been really exposed to that a whole lot. I'm gonna have some sweet videos of that. That's coming. Make sure you hit the little blue bell. It's right on the side so you can get notified when new videos come out. Hit subscribe and enjoy episode 2. Everything's gone pretty dang smooth up to this point. Just super time consuming. Getting everything just perfect. Not scratching the powder coat, things like that. Next step is I gotta get this front suspension done. We got these lowered RRGS forks. They'll slide up into the triple trees. We'll get the brakes on, bleed the brakes, front wheel on. I pulled the bolts out and of course put red Loctite. If you notice this little like cutout, that's where the bolt goes through, so like you gotta get that lined up. I always do that first. If you clamp it down, you can still move this lower fork tube around. It's not like you have to line it up perfect. And then the brake caliper mount here, that goes on this this left side. Now the motorcycle lift wrapped in styrofoam. Keep it like that so we can put the wheel on. Are you guys ready for these wheels? Dudes. Powder coated black with a clear finish. Here's the other side. I got the disc brake on there just slightly. So what needs to happen is you gotta you can't just put this on and then put the caliper on. There's not enough room between here. So what I'll end up doing is putting the caliper on, putting some of this like foam so we don't scratch the wheel, and then tightening down the brake disc so that the caliper is in there, you know, because like I said, there's no room to fit it in there. Here it is, all wrapped up in its little, see, we don't want it to hit the rim right here, so I'm gonna slide this in place. All right, so I'm just gonna put one of these little washers behind. It's a trial and error is what it is. All right, I'm gonna just slide this through. There's 2 axle spacers. The bigger one goes on this side. Things are close. See how close that is? It literally almost touches the wheel, the bleeder. Definitely like normal. So that thing spins over real nice. We're not out of the woods yet though, because we still have to bleed this, and then that the master cylinder, or the caliper and master cylinder, will set these brake pads. We may even have to space it then. So hopefully we're good, but we'll see. Now we'll just hook up our hydraulic line for the brake. There's one crush washer with the little rubber seal, and then another one on the other side. And start it by hand. Tight fit here. When you do this, you want to turn the wheel over really slow so that you know it's not going to hit. Right now I'm just gonna go really slow. We're good. And then see how I can move it left and right? Just want to make sure that you position it in a way that it's just gonna stay. That's the way it's gonna stay. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna flip that around. Remember that this brake fluid, it totally will eat your paint. If it's .3, .4 isn't as toxic or paint eating. So keep that in mind. I always just take precautions anyway. Luckily there's nothing in here. up top, you want to get this thing like level, your master cylinder. And then of course add .3 or .4. .4 is better. Don't add .5. Pro tip. What I normally do is pop a little hole. See that? That way you're not like pouring a ton in there. You don't want to put a lot, just a little bit to see if you're leaking anywhere first. I always just kind of start by starting to pump the brakes first. I don't just like hook up the Mighty Vac just yet to get all the air bubbles out. Meanwhile, down at the other end, I've got this Mighty Vac Suction 2000. I don't know what it's called. So I'm just going to push this hose on it as hard as I could. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I got this thing pumped up quite a bit. I got my fluid here ready. It's pretty full. And then I'm going to crack this little screw. There it goes. Now all I got to do is keep up on the fluid here. The brake fluid. It's sucking it down quick too. I normally like to go through like 3 reservoirs of these. And then periodically I'll turn the hose off. I definitely have some pressure here, but it's not that great. It's getting there though. Let's see if I can even stop the wheel. Yeah, I can at least stop the wheel now. But notice I have the highest point here. Let me get some suction on here so I can pull this off and then don't drip anything. Look at that. Perfect. We got to put our mount on. So I've got everything cranked down except for like the linkage and the shock mount. I'm ready to put this motor in. Everything's very important step. Everything is red Loctite. You want to do red Loctite on all the bolts. And then when you ride it, you know, for 20 miles or so, come back and check all the bolts. Are you guys ready for this? This is like freaking awesome. I haven't showed anybody this. Watch. Dude. Put that sucker in. Christina gets the monster. 190 cc's, Dr. Pulley clutch, performance variator, performance head, 30mm carb. This thing is gonna rip. And these colors, are you serious? They super pop with the frame. I would sport this in 2 seconds. Not to mention it's got the Dorby Works case brace. This case brace is so sweet. It's a backing plate and a case brace in one. You gotta check it out. I'm just gonna kind of get these started. And there's this little washer that's gonna, or the spacer that's gonna go back over here on the other side here. See how this spacer is so tight in there? Literally, you have to like work it. I mean, it's supposed to be tight. There it is. Knocked it through really quick just to put some red Loctite on it. This is one of those things though where I can't put the nut on unless I knock it back down through. And then I can stick that there, come around the other side. Nice and tight. Now, the shock, but there is a spacer here. Yeah, so I'm just like working it. Pro tip: once you line the, once you get it somewhat lined up, you can take a screwdriver and kind of work it. And then You got to crank down this front linkage. I already had the carb kind of sitting over there, all done up with the cable in it from before. I can just pop that sucker in. Probably reroute this cable in such a way at some point. Actually, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna come up under here. Now I've got my little rear brake cable I need to install. Keep in mind I can pull this arm off by loosening this 8mm and move this any way that I want. Which right now, it's a little bit loose, so I'll make sure I tighten that when we're done. There's also supposed to be a spring from here into here, which is missing. But we do have this spring, so I'm going to have to get one of those springs. Slide that through the cable. Basically just do what I'm doing. This isn't easy. Meanwhile, I'm trying it at the top. This is a 14mm, by the way. I just hate how squishy rear brakes are on GY6s. Check this thing out.